did last summer. Now, this
Indeed,
is
we are.
we're
I
gonna
know what you did last
this
summer.
is a film this is a film that, I mean, last week we spoke about it and none of us were like, no way. I was like, no way in hell, I'm not gonna see this film. Cannot be bothered, cannot put myself through it. If I'm gonna say, is it worth it getting off my sofa? No, it is not worth it getting off my sofa for that. But I did really, really, really hope that Sean would go see this film because I knew Sean would hate it. And I was like, everything about this film is one of those films that you know what's gonna happen based on the poster. And it's like, and I just thought Sean was going to hate this. So I'm just going to sit back for 5 minutes and Sean, the floor is
Okay.
yours.
Right. So what you've got to do with this, you've got to bear in mind that I haven't seen the original and I haven't seen the sequel. Right.
Yes.
So I just assumed, and I went with Happy John, who's like an aficionado of these type of.
He would have
slashes.
seen those, yes. Happy
Yeah.
John would have seen those.
So basically, this story is there's a accident that goes on, and they decide not to report it to the police, and then it comes back to bite them.
Yeah.
So that's basically the story, really, and then people sort of start getting, the nasty things happen to them. Not the people that were involved to start with, although they do. But yeah, so that's basically the story. So it's basically like every slasher movie you could possibly think of. Only this one is the most ridiculous mishmash of like. Oh, come on. And I'm going to say this one now because I've had it in my head all yesterday and all today. Right. We did that little short you did about the police arriving.
Yes.
Okay. In this film, you've got characters from the other films. So they like, can we put it? They're a little bit older. Right. So bearing in mind, one of these has moved away, like, I don't know,
other side of the country. Yeah.
Right. And then there comes a bit, and I'm sorry, spoiler alert here. Is she figures out this thing out, right? She figures towards the end, she figures, oh, I know what's going on. And then like in the town of Southport, right, where the nasty stuff's going on, she suddenly turns up, right? She turns up in this car and she says the police are on the way, right? And goes in and whatever happens. And I'm like, that's like me being in on the island of Wight and saying, oh no, I work out Tozen's in trouble. I'll get there. And I phone the police and say, look, Tozen's up in Coventry and he's a lot of trouble. Can you get there real quick? And then I turn up before the police.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't understand the geographical references, for Sean to do that, Sean would have to drive to a ferry, which takes an hour to get to a port. Then you have to drive for 2.5 hours to get to where I am. And so in that, let's say the very earliest you could do it is in 3.5 hours if you arrive by the ferry when you phoned, and yes, do something like that, and then getting here before the police get here.
And arriving before the police. So anyway, I had to put that one in before anything because anyway. So
no,
yeah.
No problem.
Also, you've got toes. You got like this bloke. Why has he got the killer wears a costume? Yeah, he's like a
big trench coat with a hook.
With a hook, yeah. And in this house, the bloke, rich house, he's got suits that are the same, hung up like on statues, right? And I'm like, and then these things move, doors move, and he goes, has a look, see what's going on. You know what's going to happen. Do you have suits? If they know this from the past, you've got a killer with a hook, and they've got these blooming suits in. And of course, he walks past them, and what happens? You know what I mean? Like, just like, what's going on? And then there's this dream sequence with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't think, not Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but
but Sarah Michelle Gellar,
prom queen, which is totally bizarre. It comes out of left field. I'm like, what's going on here? The police are all corrupt, and they lock them away, and there's like, something out the terminal, and they just, when something happens, they open the door and say, oh, you can go now. It's just like, I was up. And I mean, quite like films with this because I can heckle them, you know what I mean? And I was asking John loads of questions, and old John said to me, he goes, I told you it wasn't going to be any good. I told you it wasn't going to be any good. So I know you did. So yeah, so I took one for the team here, but it was...
we thank you for your service.
Yeah, it was just dire. It was like, what the hell?
No, Sean, honestly, I cannot thank you enough for this because this is the kind of film that I looked at, I saw it and I was like, I am going to hate myself for watching this. I am going to...
Because
Even the first time round, I didn't bother watching these films, and the fact that you talk about that dream sequence with Sarah Michelle Gellar, that is just so obviously like a money grab to just try and because I mean her character died in the other films, but they know that she's by far the biggest name of the returning cast members.
Yes.
So you have Freddie Prinze Jr., you have Jennifer Love Hewitt, and you have Sarah Michelle Gellar. She is but the biggest name because she is Buffy, and so they're gonna put her in there and figure out some hackneyed way to put her in there. Even though it's like, hang on a second, why would there be a dream sequence with her in it where she looks like she does now, or not that she did back then, when the character never got to look like she looks like?
That's it. Yeah, you budged the whole thing. Toes. It was a mess. It was a mess. But that police thing, I was like, how did that happen? Anyway, so you guess what I'm going to give this? I mean, I suppose I should just give it a 2, I guess, just purely for the fact that
you could follow a storyline because you could follow a storyline. It was shot in focus.
I mean, it's tough to give it a 2, but I just feel, because I think John probably had a bit of an affection. I don't know if he had affection for this film, but I know he sort of liked them. So.
Actually, that's a good question. So as somebody who liked the other ones, what did he think about this one?
He didn't like this one either. He thought it was a mess. So he thought.
Cool. I mean,